Ian from Lee Media. I don't usually talk about my Amazon FBA Canada sales, but I am going to do it today. And I just want to talk to American sellers out there who are considering expanding to Canada because it's nearby, because it seems relatively easy to do. Many people in the country, but not all, speak English, so there's no translation issues for packaged goods that have English on them. But there are some major considerations for shipping things to Amazon, and I wanted to go over what those are right now. So my Canada sales are not huge. I read somewhere once that if you have an Amazon FBA business in the US and then you want to go to Canada using Amazon FBA in Canada, basically you can expect sales to be about 10%. I don't even think that's true for me. I'd say it's a lot less than that. You can see I'm not selling a huge number of items. I've been doing it for a while, but it's basically a trickle, and I'm not really sure why that is. I don't offer my complete catalog in Canada. There's also an issue with pricing in Canada, which I'll explain in a little bit, but basically my sales in Canada are relatively low. They're enough for me to not give it up completely, but it's not a huge part of my business. One other thing, there's two ways to actually sell in Amazon Canada if you are based in the US. One way is to use this North American fulfillment service. It's called like NAFD or NAFR or something like that. And I did that at first. And basically the way that it worked is Amazon would fulfill items for Canada from fulfillment centers in the US. I don't do that anymore because I think it added a huge time delay for my items. So now I actually ship to an Amazon fulfillment center in Canada. It's usually in Ontario. And I wanted to show you this screenshot right here, which basically breaks down the costs of actually selling in Canada. So one thing to note here, note that the import value of this particular shipment was just 5 boxes, was about $1,250 US. On top of that, I got charged an additional $1,000 in various shipping, compliance, taxes, other sorts of fees that get tacked on to this type of thing. Another thing I should note, there are additional Canadian taxes that Amazon deducts from my account when something sells. So basically, my costs are doubling when I sell something in Canada, even though it's where I'm shipping to. It's it's less than the distance that it costs for me to ship from my home base and my supplier's home base, which is New England, to the west coast of the US. I'm only shipping to Ontario, but all of these other costs that figure in here, including I can't do it by ground. I have to fly it. That's related to the way that it's processed on the other end. There's all these other fees that pop up, and they're significant. And practically speaking, when my costs double, I have to take that into account when I'm setting up the pricing on Amazon. Let's see if we can see a little bit more details here. So here's some information about the items that I'm selling in Canada. These items. I'm not selling a lot every week, but it's enough for me to kind of keep on going. And the other thing that's worth mentioning about this is that I have to pay for other Amazon costs as well. So in addition to the cost here, which is from my freight forwarding company / agent who handles all of the shipments that go across the border, I have to pay for Amazon advertising. Of course, Amazon has its own fees. So the price that I list these items in Amazon Canada is significantly higher than they are in the US. And I know that my Canadian customers, that they look at that and they might say, geez, that's a lot of money. I can't afford that. And to be honest with you, what I'm struggling with right now is whether I should actually put some of my manufacturing in Canada just to avoid this part of it. There's a couple considerations for me to shift manufacturing to Canada, although it's a relatively standard type of manufacturing setup that I need for a Canadian partner. Some things are not standard. For instance, in Canada, as far as I understand, almost everything works on the metric system. So my products are measured in inches in the old imperial system, and I don't even know if they have the equipment that can really do things that I need to be done in the imperial system. And that also opens up the possibility, if I start manufacturing like this particular item in Canada, that I'm going to have to change the dimensions and the size, and as well as the packaging, in order to fit the Canadian manufacturing equipment and the packaging requirements and whatnot. So that's one issue. Then the other issue is that I just don't sell as much in Canada. So in the United States, when I sell these items, I usually order, every time I place an order, it's usually, anywhere from about 400 units at a time to in the low four figures. So 1,000 or 2,000 units at a time. In Canada, I don't want to place a huge order like that because I'm just not going to be able to sell it all. Like, it'll take years to sell it all. So that means if I order a smaller number of these items or these items, I'm going to be paying a higher per unit cost. So these are the things I'm grappling with right now. And then, one other thing I'd like to mention. Right now, when I manufacture in the US, my supplier is in the next town. Like, I know them. I visit their facility all the time. If there's an issue, I can go over and we can work it out. If the manufacturer's in Canada, that adds a pretty big barrier. I mean, it's possible for me to go up there, especially if it's in Quebec or Ontario, to meet a local manufacturer and deal with them. At least have, like, match a name to the face. But I can't be just flying up there to check in on a small order if something goes wrong. So these are the considerations that I'm thinking about. Also, I don't know how anything works in terms of paying for a supplier based in Canada versus paying for the United States. I have to look into that. And I know that some people watching this will be saying, yeah, wait till you start working with suppliers in Asia or Mexico or some other part of the world where, at least there's not only all these issues that I just enumerated, but also a language barrier, sometimes cultural issues and things like that. So I get that. But as someone who manufactures in the US and is dealing with the excess costs of shipping to Canada in order to sell on Amazon FBA, these are the things that are top of mind. And actually, if you have any ideas about this, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Just leave a comment in the comments for this particular video, and I'll probably be doing some follow-up on this. I mean, this is something that's, every time I get a bill from my freight forwarder, for $1,000 for sending 5 boxes, like, I think, is it really, really worth it? Because I have to jack up the price for the items in Canada to account for these costs. There's just a lot of other bureaucratic stuff I have to deal with. It's not really a pleasant part of my day when I have to deal with a shipment to Canada. So I'm thinking about doing manufacturing in Canada, but as I said, that comes with its own set of issues. Anyways, this is how I deal with my Canadian FBA shipments and issues selling there. It's still worthwhile for me to do it because I do want to make it possible for my Canadian customers to order something and get it Amazon Prime within 3 or 4 days or whatever it is right now. But just dealing with the excess costs and some of the other considerations is a bit of a pain in the neck. Anyways, for more information on selling Amazon FBA, Shopify, whatnot, go to leanmedia.org. It's my official website. Click on blog or video, and you'll see a lot more free content. And I love to discuss stuff here, and I hope to hear from you soon in the comments area. Thank you so much.